Did you know that according to a survey made by Deloitte, 77% of professionals have experienced burnout in their current job? And that out of the 77%, 51% of them said they experienced burnout not only once, but more than once. Why so? Lack of support, lack of recognition, unrealistic expectations for results or deadlines, and also consistently working long hours. So people are stressed, people are burnt out, people are maybe confused, overwhelmed with all that. So if we think about the work-life balance classical picture, it would look like this here. You know, we have work, we have life, and work is heavy. Work is taking a lot of space. So maybe if you are here today it's because it is your case. Or maybe you know someone close to you, a friend, a colleague, a partner who is in this situation, who is struggling for this balance. And maybe not that you work a lot, that you have work many hours, but maybe it's about work taking a lot of space in life, taking a lot of space in your head, especially being preoccupied by work, trying to find solutions when you are doing something else, being busy with work more often than maybe you would like or that person you're thinking of would like to. So I welcome you to this live. We are live on Instagram, on LinkedIn, and on YouTube at the same time. So I have two cameras, so I'm looking at both of them. I'm changing my where I'm looking to. So welcome to this live on the work-life balance equation. If you are listening and you are an actuary on top of that, I'm sure you will be very interested with the equation part. And if you're not an actuary, don't worry, the equation is not so difficult. So let's explore now how it can be solved, how this equation can be solved. But just in case you don't know me, I would like to introduce myself shortly. I'm Caroline Grégoire, and I love helping impact-driven leaders find meaning, clarity, and joy at work so that they have the time and the energy to live their life to the fullest. I do so in English, French, German, and Swedish. My background is that, yes, I worked as an actuary. And for many years, I started my career at Hanover in Hanover, Germany, as a non-life actuary calculating reserves for the non-life business. Later, I moved to Sweden, where I was more active, we could say, as a consultant for calculating pension liabilities according to IAS 19 and for also coordinating projects for large multinationals for IAS 19 pension liabilities. And after more than 15 years of number crunching, I realized that I wanted to do something. I wanted to explore more qualitative topics and work closer with people. So I moved back to Hanover, to the Hanover Group in Germany, and I became head of operational risk and risk reporting for the group. I did this for 7 years, and now I've been working as an international coach, mentor, trainer, and keynote speaker for the last 8 years. So with my clients, the topic I work with, they encompass leadership, communication, resilience, strategy, and also culture. Originally, I'm from Canada, French speaking. I guess you hear it. And I am now based in Portugal. So when I work with clients, because, we were looking at the work being heavy, taking a lot of space. Why is it so? Because maybe the workload is heavy. Yes. Maybe also it can be that you are very preoccupied because the culture is not very healthy for you. And but when I work with clients, I always like to look into the aspects that my client has influence over. So what is it that my client, who may be unhappy, exhausted, confused, overwhelmed, burnt out, stressed, what can he or she do to find more meaning, more clarity, and more joy at work? So one thing I often realize is that there is a fear, kind of a fear, we could say FOMO, fear of missing out, but maybe the fear of missing the promotion, the fear of being overlooked. If I don't work this hard, people won't see me. The fear of not being recognized. If I'm not all over the place on all the meetings, people won't remember me. They won't recognize my good work. Maybe it's an insecurity that it's never enough, that maybe it's the other colleagues who will get the promotion. So to compensate that fear, you work overtime with the goal probably of getting recognition. You try to answer emails quickly right away as they get in your inbox. Maybe in the evening you quickly look, only 10 minutes, and then it turns out to be 1 hour. And a good friend of mine a few years ago got a promotion. She was working in one department and she got a promotion. She got manager in another department. And when she started to work with her team, she realized that one of her colleagues in the team, he had over 200 hours of overtime. She got a list from the personal department and could see that. And of course, this person was very tired, very exhausted, and on top, very disappointed, because this person had, I will call him Tom. Tom had expected to get that job. Tom wanted to be the manager of that department. So he had been working really, really hard, saying yes to everything, doing everything to make sure he would get the promotion. What happened? Someone else was chosen. And maybe someone else was chosen because people who made the choice, they were looking at Tom and thinking, this guy is so stressed. He won't be able to do the work, So it's maybe the fear is so strong that in the end, you don't even reach the goal of getting the promotion. So this work didn't really help Tom. Another thing that I like to look into, there's a fear, of missing out, let's say, all the beliefs that we have that lead to some behavioral patterns that whether we are aware of or we are not very much aware of, until maybe somebody tell us into the face, puts a mirror and say, look what you're doing. One of the beliefs, I have to be on call 24/7. So what happens? You carry your phone everywhere, to family gatherings, at the beach, family events, holiday dinners. You need to be on call, 24/7, otherwise nothing happens. So there's no boundaries. So work is taking a lot of space, a lot of time, a lot of space. Maybe there is also a need to control things. That's something to explore. Further, there may also be the belief without me, nothing gets done. Without me, nothing gets done. So if I don't do it, nobody is going to do it, or it won't be done the best way, or it won't be done properly. So you're kind of a yes. You say yes to kind of everything because you think the other people, they will not be able to solve this. Only me can do it, you know? So you take on many projects, you work long hours, you sit in many meetings. Whether you should really be involved or not is a question. You solve big and also small issues sometimes that you would not need to solve, that you could delegate to someone else. You get lost in the details, and it takes a lot of time. We also have beliefs that we can explore everything that we hear, we have heard in our family, and that we hear in society, like you have to work hard in life if you want to succeed. The other one, in German, they say erst die Arbeit, dann das Vergnügen. First work, then play. I wonder if we would say first play, then work, even if you do the work. Could work. Life is not a walk in the park. In German, they say, das Leben ist kein Ponyhof. We've all heard these kinds of things. And in us, we do, does something with us. We believe, without really knowing about that we need to behave in a certain way because we think this is how it works. You have to work hard if you want to succeed, you know? So you work hard, you work long hours, you have maybe tough discussions, tough decisions, maybe you have even conflicts, and all of this takes a lot of space. Maybe after you've left the office, it follows you more or less everywhere because you have to work hard if you want to succeed. Or maybe I'd better work long hours if I want to show them that I'm worthy the money they're paying me for. This is also something to explore. When I was living in Sweden, one of the consulting companies I worked at had a colleague. Ray was his name, and Ray was stressed, overwhelmed, had almost a burnout. And at one moment, he left this employer and he went to work somewhere else. He had a really good position, was very proud of this. And 4 months into the new job, I met with him and he started to tell me the story that it's very demanding and he works hard and he works long hours and he's stressed and he's tired. And I listened, yeah, okay. And I met again 6 months later and I hear the same story. And I hear the story for maybe 3 or 4 years because that's how long he stayed at that employer. So at some point, he went back to the employer where we had worked together, where we had got to know each other. And you guess, I have lunch with him 4 months into that job. And you know what I'm going to say? He's telling me the same story, the same thing. And, I say, Ray, it's not about the job, it's about you. I put in the mirror, And he said, after he reflected, he said, yes, my dad, he was working hard. He was working long hours. He was not home very often. And I guess I took over that behavior. So I like to bring a new perspective to this thing with the work and the life and the balance, because I see it like this. There's life Hmm? It's the whole thing. It's, it's the blue circle, the big one. And there's work within it. Of course, there are other things here. There's family, there are hobbies, there's sports, there's health, there's all these other things. But it's part of life, you know? And because it looks like this, I have this equation, you know, that work is smaller than life. Yes, this is smaller if you maybe you didn't like mathematics at school, but work is smaller than life. Life is bigger. Hmm? Or now we could have this wonderful equation. Hmm? Work divided by life is smaller than 1. It's smaller than 100%. Hmm? If right now you look at this equation, think about your life when you are awake, let's say. We will skip the sleeping part. And if you think about the time, the number of hours, it's more like a feeling. I'm not going to ask you to open an Excel spreadsheet here. If you think about the energy that you give to work, we'll call it like this, and you compare it to your life energy, let's say, what would be the percentage? Let's say, or we could say number of hours you work, or that you are preoccupied, busy by your work, divided by the number of hours you are awake during a day. Let's say it's just an average. What is this percentage for you? Approximately, it's more like a feeling thing. So feel free to write in the chat. What is your work-life equation? Notice there's no balance, just the work-life equation. Work divided by life. So now that you have calculated this, your work-life equation, write down 3 words about what work means to you. What does in your life, what does work mean to you? 3 words. Or it can be 3 sentences. So, what happened with my friend Ray, or with my former colleague Ray, is that once he had realized that he was repeating the patterns of his dad, he started to make some changes. First of all, he always said to himself, I leave work at 7, or even I think it was even at 6, and I don't bring anything at home. I don't bring my phone, I don't bring my computer. So this was a big step for him. And from there on, it got even better. And yeah, my friend also, who became manager in this department, where she had this colleague who had, I had worked so hard to be recognized, who did not recognize, who was disappointed, unhappy, and so on. What she did, she gave Tom time and space to get back on his feet. She said, look, you have this bank of so much overtime. I want you to, or I suggest to you, she said, of course, I invite you to work like 4 days a week for 1 year or more than that. She did a lot so he could get back on his feet. What happened 2 years later, he got promoted in a specific position where he could use his his own expertise. So it turned out well for him, because out of his fear of missing out, he didn't miss out. But once he realized, look, the world is still turning around even if I only work 4 days a week. And when he could calm down in himself, in his behavior, and seeing that he's still appreciated, then things worked out very good for him. So I show you again this one picture here. I said this: work is smaller than life. And what I want to say here is your work, because it's your life. So it's your work. Your work is smaller than your life. And when I say yours, I mean you are the author, no one else. And your work is part of your life. Look, this is another sign. Work is part of life. Your work is part of your life, as like family does, like hobbies do, like health does, and so on. And notice that in work there is life too. So yes, it is about the quantity. It is about the ratio work divided by life, what you have calculated. And you can choose this according to your own life priorities. We're all different. But it's also about the quality of how you work while you are living your life. And when I think about, I'll show you again this, life and work as part of life. But in work, there's still life. There's also life. It reminds me only this picture that I showed you during my life in February. You remember, it was about being, not only doing, because when you do, you still are. In the being, there is somewhere the doing. We like to think in polarities. It's one or the other. It's one versus the other, but it's not. So if you haven't watched it, just go ahead and have a look at it. So if you need support to optimize your work-life equation or your work-life ratio, so that it aligns better with your life's priority, so that you can find more meaning, more joy, and more clarity and at work, and you have then more time and energy to live your life, connect with me. Send me a message, whether on LinkedIn or on YouTube or on Instagram, and I will be so happy to see you, to meet you, maybe for real one day. And feel free to send me your questions if you have any. And I look forward to the next live. It will be mid-June. It will be a surprise what it will be about, but stay tuned. Follow me on LinkedIn and also on YouTube and Instagram, and you will be informed on time. All the very, very best to you. Thank you. Thank you for being here. And all the best with your work-life equation. Ciao, ciao.